There have been a couple of Mario games on the 3DS, but only one that's like the classic 2D ones, New Super Mario Bros. 2. Just like the older Marios, this is a side-scroller, and this time in 2.5D, and it was released back in 2012. The game was a huge hit, and certainly helped with the success of the 3DS. It ended up selling more than 10 million copies, which is insane. It's praised by many and is filled to the brim with content. However, there are even more levels than everyone thinks. There are a ton of early builds, and that's what we're going to look at today. First up, an early version of the first castle seen in the game. The level uses both the early object numbers table and an early tile set, since at some point, this was changed. This is already a clear sign that the level was made before this change, and this was most likely early on in development. In Area 1 there are some notable differences, for example the lack of the secret area with the raccoon leaf runaway, and above the final giant thwomp. Located outside of the zone in the early layout are also some impossible to see tiles and an entrance pipe, which have been removed in the final version. Besides that, there aren't any coins in the early versions, which is also very strange. However, the overall layout is still similar. What happened here? Well, it could be that a duplicate was created when they changed the object numbers table and tile set. Or this is just an early version they saved that remained in the files and was never deleted. But hold on, there's even more. There's a second area not present in the final version of the level, and it appears to be directly lifted from New Super Mario Bros. Castle 1 Area 2, bringing an interesting possibility of this level being built using that level as a base. However, we can't really be sure about this, but it seems to be the most logical assumption. There's also an unpolished version of the final room. There's no boss shutter objects present, suggesting the boss worked somewhat differently. The little room where you're supposed to see the next Koopaling run off with Princess Peach is also absent. It should be mentioned that the final Area 3 features some decorative tiles off-zone, so they didn't polish this version as well. Clearly the mechanics and overall game design of the boss weren't finalized, since the shutters are missing, which is the entire gimmick of the fight. And the end of the level wasn't even there, so this must be an extremely early version of it that ended up not being used.
Now onto the next one, an early version of World Flower B. This is one of the bonus levels. This one also uses the old sprite set and object numbers table. In Area 1, Zone 1, the level seemingly uses a different mechanic in its first form, seeing how there are no mushroom stems in the early version. There are no bonus areas as well. The Sweden flag-like platforms were removed in favor of more presentable mushroom blocks. Area 2 of the early version consists solely of a copy of the placeholder level, which is this level here. It's pretty empty and boring. The Sweden flag-like platforms are a bit weird and not very fitting for Mario games, and this was most likely the reason why they removed them. It certainly was a good idea. Now on to the next one, an early version of 9.5. In Area 1, the biggest change is the mass of coins that was added. Other than that, the level seems to be pretty much the same, with a few cosmetic changes here and there. And the second area seems to have nothing of interest in the early version except for the moon coin. We aren't sure what happened here, the only thing that makes sense is that this was a basic version of the level that they saved, some sort of template. And in the final game, they placed a ton of coins around to finish the level, otherwise it would be kinda bland. Now for our last one, and this is big.
An early version of the final castle in the game.
The only portions present are the sections that lead to the final battle with Bowser, and the room where said fight takes place. Area 1 is an early version of Area 3 in the final level, and you can see clearly that this is temporary work, which was refined later. So that's nothing too special.
However, the second area of this version is really weird.
This was supposed to be the final battle room. It's not clear what the early area was trying to achieve, but what is clear is that the final boss battle was meant to be quite different from how it ended up. During the final battle with Bowser in the released game, you have to work your way up while Giant Bowser tries to take you out. But looking at this early version for only a second, you can already see that this was not the plan back then. Here the arena is more rectangle, which would have changed the entire fight. Maybe Bowser would have walked to the left and right, trying to stop Mario from going up. Who knows?
So as you can see, Nintendo made a lot of changes here and there, some huge and some very small. However, there are a ton of unused levels in the files as well. These weren't based on any of the levels seen in the game. So go cast your votes in the upper right corner to let us know if we should cover those in a video as well. Thanks for watching everybody, I hope you enjoyed. If you don't want to miss any of our videos, be sure to hit the bell button next to the subscribe button. And if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, then first do that and then the bell. Thank you so much if you did that.